Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Millennial Economics. Today, I'm super excited to talk to you a little bit about what crypto investing looks like for normal people. One of my goals for this channel is to obviously educate you all on investing, personal finance, becoming financially fit, as I like to say. But I want to shed some light into what the actual journey, the actual mechanics of investing and becoming financially fit and budgeting and becoming debt-free actually are. So one thing that we see quite often if you spend any time on YouTube, which obviously you do here, if you listen to any podcasts, if you watch any videos of any kind, you see these grandiose success stories about crypto investing. Okay, I've done some crypto investing. I've been investing in crypto for I want to say maybe about a year, maybe a little less than that. But there are some things that I've noticed that I'd like to shed some light on. So I wanted to throw out a couple examples for you to start off with. Many of you may have heard of Graham Stephan, love him. Andrew Zick, love him. Dogecoin Millionaire, very entertaining, watched a lot of the content. But one recurring theme that you will see from these major players on YouTube is that they have tremendous gains, right? Maybe they invested $100,000 into Bitcoin and they ended up growing that portfolio tenfold, 20-fold, what have you. In the case of Dogecoin Millionaire, I can't remember his initial investment, maybe $80,000. Don't quote me on that. Maybe $80,000, and he turned that at one point when when Dogecoin was really skyrocketing. He turned that into over $200 million. Okay, these stories are absolutely true, and that's why this thing is fun. Investing in cryptocurrency, you can make a lot of money doing it. But I just wanted to shed some light because it's not necessarily what you can expect, and it's not necessarily what the average investor sees time over time. Okay, just to give you an example. When I started investing in a cryptocurrency, I certainly did not have several hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest into crypto. I typically invested $50 here, $100 here, along with my other long-term investments. And if you think about it, if we were to see a 200% increase in a cryptocurrency over $50, yes, that's great money that you made, especially when you look at it in terms of percentages, but it's not hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars because most of us don't have that sort of seed money to start investing. So one thing I really want to touch on here is how do the crypto markets actually work? Okay, what do they actually look like? So let's take a side by side. If we think of the stock market, let's take a look at the S&P 500. Okay, it's been more volatile recently. But if you look over the course of history, you're not getting these huge waves up and down day by day or really month by month, typically. It's not always true, but typically. Sometimes you might see the market up 0.5% one day, maybe it's down 0.5% another day. You know, if it's a really bad day in the market, you might see it dip 1.5%, okay? However, when you look at the crypto markets, they're incredibly volatile. Somebody tweeting, Elon Musk, some company purchasing a lot of it, or some individual purchasing a lot of it, or some company accepting it, or some country saying, you know, Bitcoin is the reserve currency, right? These things can swing the market greatly, greatly. We might look at changes of 5, 10, maybe 20% in a day. You know, if we take a look at what Shiba Inu did a couple months ago, I believe now, you know, we were seeing increases and decreases of vast percentages in a day. And if you have a lot of money wrapped up in those investments, in those cryptocurrencies, you saw a lot of increase or a lot of decrease. While this volatility can be fun, and while it can lend itself to tremendous amounts of gain, it can also lend itself to tremendous amounts of loss. And that's just something that you have to keep in mind. A lot of the times the stories that we see on social media, or YouTube or podcasts, are people that bought into a cryptocurrency way early on in the life cycle of that cryptocurrency. And they got lucky, I'll call it luck, and they hit that, they had enough invested when it was very cheap, and they hit that incline or that rise in the value of that cryptocurrency. Some people sold, some people held, but those are typically the stories that you hear. What you oftentimes see, however, is based off of the volumes, is not a lot of people buy early on, right? Most people buy when it's the buzz around the cryptocurrency is going crazy. So to give you an example, Shiba I want to say maybe a year ago, was trading for very little. Well, a lot of people, or some people, bought in at that point, kept buying in, kept buying in. Well, when they saw that skyrocket go up, they saw a tremendous amount of gain. However, the majority of the folks that invested in Shiba at that time were investing when the hype was going on, right? And we're investing maybe, if we look at the increase here, maybe they invest right when it started to increase. Maybe some people invested right at the top of the value, because we don't necessarily know when that value is going to top off or not. So what I want to say is you're not always going to see tremendous gains. You're not always going to see tremendous loss, but you certainly are going to see an incredible amount of volatility when it comes to these markets. One thing I want to highlight is I trade personally with Coinbase. That's where I started. That's where I continue to trade, is on Coinbase. And if you would like to start trading cryptocurrency on your own, there will be a link in the description, or if you're listening to the audio version of this, in the show notes, where you can get $10 of Bitcoin when you trade, and use that referral link down below. So moving on. What is the reality? Okay, so we took a look at kind of what we see on social media. We took a look at the huge increases that everybody talks about, the huge gains that everybody talks about. But what are most people actually seeing? Well, most people are investing a very small amount. So when I made a little bit of money on Shiba Inu, and I made about $1,500 on about, I think, a $400 to $500 total investment. I can't remember exactly, but I did pretty well. But as I was spending time on Reddit and seeing kind of the behavior of some of the investors, what I've noticed is not many investors were throwing in $1,000, $10,000, $20,000. Most people were investing $50, $100 as they were making their money with their day job. Okay, so the reality of cryptocurrency investing is that most people are investing over a longer period of time, smaller investment amounts. What does that mean? Well, it means that when the market increases, yes, you're going to see those increases, but you're not going to make $1 million typically off of a $100 investment, okay? A lot of people going into crypto investing kind of have that dream, which is a great dream. It's, again, it's what makes investing in cryptocurrency fun. But most people are going to see a smaller increase in their investment, or a smaller, percentage increase in their investment. Many people lose money, okay? I had a friend, maybe you're watching this right now, when Shiba Inu was running up, I think it made it all the way up to 0.0008, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. But it made it up to a certain point. I had been invested in it for a while, but my friend decided to throw some money in, threw a couple $100 in. He threw it in at the very top of what we've seen Shiba be since that time. Okay, so what happened to him? Well, he ended up losing money because as we speak, Shiba Inu is continuing to decrease in value. Okay, those are the stories that you don't hear, but these are what normal investors are actually seeing. Okay, most people that invest in cryptocurrency have a general lack of knowledge. All right, they have a general lack of knowledge about what cryptocurrencies are. They have a general lack of knowledge about what the individual currencies do and what they are valuable for. Okay, so what I would recommend to you all is to make sure that you have a general understanding of what cryptocurrency is, how the markets work, what the coin that you're investing in generally does. Each of them has something that they do. They have some utility, okay? Study up on that before you invest in that coin. We're actually going to take a quick break here, and I'm going to show you some charts just to illustrate exactly what I've been talking about regarding when people buy in, how much money they bought in for, and what typical gains people are kind of seeing. So we'll break here and take a look at some charts. All right. So this is really what I wanted to illustrate, okay? So we are looking at Shiba Inu, and we are looking at it over the course of a year, okay? Typically what we hear about are people that invested right in this range here, okay? Maybe even earlier, really early on when that value was very, very low. Okay, and when we start to see the publicity really rise was right about here in October. We saw the value skyrocket. It looks like it jumped all the way up to a high of about 0.000087. I'm going to slowly been going and working its way down up until now, where we see it at about 0.00003. Okay. Too many zeros to say. But typically we hear about people that bought a lot of it right in this range, okay? And we're talking most of the normal person, right? Like we talked about. 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 20,000, 80,000, $100,000 investment in this range. Maybe it's over the course of some time. Maybe it was in one lump sum. And then when they start seeing it rise, they post a YouTube video or they post a podcast and say, hey, I made $100,000 or I made $200,000 on Shiba Inu, and everybody jumps in. The reality, though, for most of us is that we invest probably somewhere in this range here. As I mentioned, my friend, he invested right there, and we haven't seen it get that high again, okay? And my buddy ended up losing some money. You know, me, I was fortunate. I invested somewhere, I believe, right around here, saw the rise, and I actually ended up selling, I want to say about right in this range here. So I didn't even sell at the peak. But this is just an illustration for you all so that you go in with realistic expectations. You're not always going to time the market perfectly. Now, my strategy moving forward is that I'm hoping to be able to purchase some cryptocurrencies in this range. Obviously, I don't know if they're going to shoot up in value like Shiba Inu did. But I'm going to throw some darts on the wall, see if I can find that one, invest some early money into it, and hopefully to see this potential gain in the future. Now, when we talk about the amount of money that we're investing, again, I'm not investing $100,000 into a random coin, okay? I'm investing $50, $60, $70 into these coins. So when I see those gains, you're not gonna see a YouTube video from me about making millions of dollars in cryptocurrency, at least any time in the near future, okay? Love to get to that point, but at least any time in the near future. However, it's fun. It's something you can take a look at. But we will get right back into the video. Okay, and we're back. So the last thing that I really want to talk about is how I invest in cryptocurrency. And I think it's very similar to how most people invest, like we've talked about here. The way I invest in cryptocurrency is each time I get a paycheck from my day job, I pay my bills, I slot some out for my account where I hold most of my index funds that mimic the S&P 500, so really boring stuff, my long-term investments. I throw most of my money in there. I also have a fund that I throw in for dividend investing. That's in index funds and ETFs as well. I throw some money in there. And then I take 5%. I call it my monthly margin. I take 5% of my monthly margin, and I throw that into my Coinbase account. And it's kind of my play money, the way that I think about it, okay? Sometimes I do some research, and I'll see a coin that I think I have some upside in, and I'll throw some money in there. Or maybe I want to be a little bit more conservative with that crypto investing, and I'll throw it into Bitcoin or Ethereum, okay? It's a long-term play for me, and it's also kind of a buckshot to maybe capitalize on some of the dramatic increases we may see in the future for some of the coins that are trading at a lower value, right? So maybe there's a coin that's trading at below a penny. I throw $50 in there. Maybe in 6 months, maybe a year, that coin dramatically raises and I can make some money on that. It's very hard to time those things, so I like to just throw money in there, dollar cost average it, and hope that I end up okay in the future. So that's really what I wanted to touch on. Hopefully you found this valuable. Again, I'm getting used to the video aspect of this. For those of you that have followed along on the podcast, this would be episode 81, I believe. If you are interested in listening to some of those other podcast episodes, again, there's a lot out there, over a year's worth of episodes. You can search Millennial Economics wherever you do listen to podcasts, and you'll be able to find those episodes there. But thank you so much for joining me today, and we will talk to you soon.